Before you sleep tonight, pause for just 1 minute, because this one simple habit could change the way Rizq flows into your life. We often think Rizq is only money, but Rizq is peace, health, opportunities, barakah, and even the people Allah places in our path. The Prophet A taught us that the moments before sleep are powerful. Your heart is soft, your mind is quiet, and your dua is closer to sincerity than at almost any other time. There is a beautiful dua that many scholars recommend saying before bed: Allahumma inni azaluka rizqan tayyiban, wa ilman nafi'an, wa amalan mutaqabbalan. O Allah, I ask you for pure and good provision, beneficial knowledge, and deeds that you accept. The moments before sleep are among the most spiritually significant times in a person's day. When the world slows down, the distractions fade, and the mind begins to drift into rest, the heart becomes more receptive to reflection, remembrance, and supplication. In these quiet moments, the human soul is in a state of humility and softness, away from the noise, stress, and business of daily life. This makes the time before sleep particularly potent for dua, the act of asking Allah for guidance, mercy, and provision. Unlike moments of stress or distraction, when the mind may wander or the heart may be divided, the pre-sleep time allows a person to focus entirely on their connection with Allah, speaking directly from the heart without interruption. It is a time when sincerity flows naturally, because one approaches it without expectation, without performance, and without the need for outward demonstration. The Prophet encouraged remembering Allah before sleeping, teaching that the last actions of the day carry great weight, as they leave a lasting imprint on the heart and soul. The calmness of night, combined with the natural human tendency toward introspection at this hour, creates a unique spiritual atmosphere where prayers are more heartfelt and more attentive. When a person sits or lies down and turns to Allah in those final moments, they are speaking to the one who knows them intimately, who is aware of every need, every worry, and every hope. It is a private, sacred conversation free from judgment, in which the servant can ask openly and without fear. Moreover, the physical act of preparing for sleep often signals to the mind and body a pause from worldly affairs. This transition from active engagement to restful submission creates an opportunity for reflection on the blessings, challenges, and desires of the day. In this pause, one can contemplate the provision of Allah, recognize His mercy, and articulate a heartfelt request for continued guidance and sustenance. The simplicity of dua in these moments, just a few words from the lips or a quiet whisper from the heart, can carry profound spiritual impact. Scholars often note that the sincerity of the dua matters more than its length or eloquence, and the pre-sleep time naturally encourages such sincerity. It is also a moment when humility and trust are heightened, as one acknowledges the limitations of human effort and the vastness of divine mercy. The act of supplication becomes an expression of reliance and hope. Historical accounts and scholarly teachings emphasize that the Prophet not only made dua before sleep, but also recommended specific invocations, demonstrating the significance of this time for seeking protection, provision, and forgiveness. Nighttime dua aligns the heart with the awareness of Allah's omnipresence, reminding the believer that every breath, every blessing, and every provision originates from Him. Even if sleep comes immediately after, these words and intentions linger in the heart, planting seeds of spiritual nourishment that can blossom into guidance, peace, and abundance. Therefore, the moments before sleep are not just a transition from day to night, they are a sacred opportunity, a window of spiritual receptivity, and a time when heartfelt dua carries a unique weight. The quiet of night, the softness of the heart, and the sincerity of intention combine to create a space where connection with Allah is at its most intimate, most potent, and most transformative when we hear the word Rizq. Many of us immediately think of money, salary, or material wealth. While financial provision is certainly part of it, the true concept of rizq in Islam is much broader and more profound than mere monetary gain. Rizq encompasses everything that Allah provides for His creation to sustain, benefit, and fulfill them, and it includes not only physical necessities, but also spiritual, emotional, and intellectual blessings. Health is one form of rizq, the ability to move, breathe, think clearly, and live each day with energy is a gift that is often overlooked until it is threatened. Being free from illness, having strength in one's body, and being able to perform daily tasks are all aspects of sustenance that go beyond money and are essential for a meaningful life. Peace of mind is another form of rizq. The tranquility of heart and clarity of mind that allow a person to navigate life without constant worry or anxiety is a blessing from Allah. This form of rizq enables a person to make decisions wisely, to maintain relationships, and to live a life of contentment. Opportunities in life, whether for learning, work, travel, or meeting beneficial people, are also considered rizq. Each chance to grow, to gain knowledge, or to connect with someone who inspires or supports us is a gift from Allah. Recognizing these opportunities as rizq helps us understand that provision is not always tangible. It often comes in forms that guide us toward long-term benefit and barakah. Knowledge itself is a form of rizq. Beneficial knowledge that elevates a person, enables understanding of the world, and strengthens faith is considered among the highest forms of provision. This includes knowledge of religion, of one's responsibilities, and even worldly knowledge that can be used to help oneself and others. Acts of worship and righteous deeds can also be considered a form of rizq, for they provide the soul with nourishment, peace, and closeness to Allah. A good family, supportive friends, and sincere mentors are additional examples of rizq that enrich life far beyond what money alone can achieve. Sometimes, the greatest form of provision comes not in abundance, but in contentment. Being satisfied with what one has, being grateful, and experiencing joy in simple blessings are manifestations of rizq that are far more enduring than wealth. Islam teaches that Allah's provision is vast and multifaceted, and focusing solely on material wealth can limit one's understanding of His mercy. Many people pray for more money, but they may overlook the immeasurable blessings they already possess: health, guidance, family, intellect, and inner peace. Understanding the broad meaning of rizq encourages a mindset of gratitude and awareness, making a person more mindful of the countless ways Allah provides for them every single day. When du'a is made for rizq, it is not merely asking for material gain, but for all that benefits the soul and body, all that facilitates ease, growth, and closeness to Allah. This awareness transforms supplication from a transactional request into a heartfelt acknowledgement of divine mercy. The recognition that rizq comes in so many forms can also bring patience, trust, and serenity, because one realizes that provision may appear in ways that are not immediately visible, but are ultimately for one's greatest good. Therefore, understanding the true essence of rizq allows a believer to approach deen with both humility and hope, knowing that Allah's sustenance is vast, encompassing every aspect of life, and that the blessings He provides are more numerous and meaningful than what the human eye can measure. Among the countless supplications found in Islamic tradition, there is one beautiful du'a that is rarely highlighted in everyday discussion, but carries immense spiritual and worldly significance. This du'a is simple, yet powerful, and it addresses the heart of what every believer seeks: sustenance, beneficial knowledge, and actions that are accepted by Allah. The Prophet recommended turning to Allah with such supplications before sleeping, a time when the heart is soft and the mind is at rest. The words of this dua are, Allahumma inni azaluka rizqan tayyiban, wa ilman nafi'an wa amalan mutaqabbalan. This means, O Allah, I ask you for pure and good provision, beneficial knowledge, and deeds that you accept. Each phrase carries deep meaning, forming a holistic request for a complete, blessed, and meaningful life. Asking for rizq tayyib, or good and pure provision, emphasizes that not all wealth is equal. It is not enough to merely receive money or material gain. The believer seeks that which is lawful, blessed, and free from harm. Rizq that is pure uplifts the soul, strengthens faith, and brings peace rather than worry or guilt. It is the type of provision that nurtures the individual while benefiting others and does not bring shame, stress, or corruption. The request for ilman nafi'an, or beneficial knowledge, is equally profound. Knowledge without benefit is incomplete. It may fill the mind but not guide the heart. Beneficial knowledge illuminates understanding, improves decision-making, and strengthens faith. It is knowledge that helps a person navigate both worldly life and the spiritual path, ensuring that their actions are informed, meaningful, and righteous. When a believer prays for knowledge, they are not merely asking to know more, but to know wisely, to apply learning in a way that benefits themselves and those around them. The final component, amalan mutaqabbalan, or deeds that are accepted, addresses the ultimate goal of any action, to please Allah. A believer may pray, fast, give charity, or perform other acts of worship, but if these are not accepted, their spiritual benefit is incomplete. Asking for acceptance demonstrates humility, acknowledging that success in worship depends entirely on Allah's mercy and approval. It is a reminder that the intention behind every act is as crucial as the act itself, and that our efforts alone are insufficient without divine acceptance. What makes this du'wad particularly rare is that many people focus only on one aspect, wealth, knowledge, or deeds, without realizing that Islam encourages seeking balance in all three. A truly blessed life integrates lawful sustenance, meaningful learning, and accepted worship. Reciting this du'a consistently, especially before sleep, nurtures a holistic approach to spiritual and worldly fulfillment. It transforms the act of supplication from a request for a single need into a comprehensive plea for guidance, blessing, and alignment with Allah's wisdom. Moreover, it reminds the believer that Allah's mercy encompasses every aspect of life, and that sincere, consistent du'a opens the heart to trust, patience, and hope. In essence, this rarely shared dodo is a profound tool for cultivating barakah in all dimensions of life, drawing the believer closer to Allah and ensuring that their provision, knowledge, and actions are not only abundant but blessed, meaningful, and accepted. Consistency is one of the most important principles in Islam when it comes to worship, supplication, and seeking blessings from Allah. Many people assume that a single prayer, a single act of devotion, or a single du'a is enough to bring significant change. But the truth is that lasting impact comes through regular, sincere practice. The Prophet emphasized the importance of small, consistent deeds over occasional grand gestures, teaching that Allah values steadfastness and devotion more than quantity or grandeur. When it comes to making du'a for rizq, knowledge, or acceptance of deeds, repeating this supplication night after night with sincerity cultivates a habit of turning to Allah and reinforces the connection between the believer and their Creator. Consistency in du'a is not just a mechanical repetition of words. It is the repeated expression of reliance, hope, and humility. Each time a believer recites the du'a, it strengthens their awareness that all sustenance and blessings come from Allah alone, and that human effort is only effective when paired with divine guidance. This regularity also shapes the heart, making it more receptive to gratitude, patience, and mindfulness. Over time, a person begins to recognize that divine provision is not random or limited to occasional windfalls, but a continuous stream of blessings that respond to sincere supplication and faithful effort. The psychological effect of consistency is profound. When a person makes du'a every night, they end the day with hope rather than worry, trusting that Allah is aware of their needs. They go to sleep with peace, knowing they have turned to the One who controls all affairs, and they wake up with a renewed sense of purpose and reliance. This habitual engagement with Allah also protects against spiritual neglect. Life is full of distractions, challenges, and moments that can make a believer forget their reliance on Allah or focus solely on worldly means. By consistently returning to du'a, one creates a spiritual anchor that holds them firm in faith, reminding them daily of the ultimate source of sustenance and guidance. Scholars have repeatedly stressed that the power of du'a is amplified by regularity. A single supplication may be answered in part or delayed for wisdom, but repeated, sincere supplication demonstrates persistence, humility, and trust, qualities beloved to Allah. Furthermore, the habitual practice of this du'a before sleep establishes a pattern of spiritual discipline that naturally extends to other areas of life. It encourages reflection, gratitude for the day's blessings, and conscious effort toward righteous actions. The rewards of consistency are not always immediately visible, but they accumulate over time. Small, consistent acts, whether in prayer, charity, or du'a, create long-term spiritual growth and open the door to blessings that may not be apparent at first. For rizq, knowledge, and acceptance of deeds, consistency ensures that the believer's heart remains connected to Allah's mercy, continually seeking sustenance and guidance, while trusting the process of divine provision. In essence, making this du'a every night is not simply a habit. It is a powerful investment in spiritual and worldly well-being. It transforms the act of supplication from a one-time request into a lifelong practice of devotion, reliance, and hope, demonstrating that steadfastness and regularity are keys to attracting Allah's blessings and achieving barakah in all aspects of life. Trust in Allah, known as tawakkul in Islamic terminology, is a cornerstone of faith and one of the most powerful elements in the life of a believer. It goes far beyond merely hoping for good outcomes or wishing for blessings. It is a deep, conscious reliance on Allah's wisdom, mercy, and control over every aspect of existence. When it comes to seeking rizq, trust in Allah is essential, because no amount of planning, effort, or worry can substitute for divine provision. Many people struggle with anxiety about their sustenance, believing that wealth, opportunities, or success are entirely within their own control. While effort is necessary and encouraged in Islam, the ultimate outcome always rests in Allah's hands. Recognizing this truth brings both relief and strength. Trust in Allah allows a believer to approach du'a with sincerity, knowing that every prayer is heard and that Allah's response, whether immediate or delayed, is perfectly timed and aligned with one's best interest. This trust does not imply passivity. On the contrary, Islam teaches that a believer must strive, plan, and act responsibly, but all these actions are coupled with reliance on Allah for the results. For example, one may seek employment, study diligently, or invest wisely, but the sustenance, opportunities, and success that follow are ultimately granted by Allah. Understanding this distinction transforms the attitude toward life's uncertainties. Instead of succumbing to fear, stress, or impatience, a person who truly trusts Allah finds peace, contentment, and resilience. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to rely more deeply on divine wisdom, and every blessing becomes a reminder of Allah's generosity. Trust in Allah also strengthens patience. Sometimes sustenance is delayed, and opportunities may seem scarce. In these moments, a believer who has cultivated reliance on Allah remains steadfast, knowing that divine timing is perfect and that every delay carries hidden wisdom. This trust encourages humility, reminding the believer that human effort alone is insufficient and that ultimate success comes only through Allah's mercy. It also fosters gratitude, because recognizing that every blessing is a gift from Allah naturally leads to appreciation for both small and large provisions. A heart anchored in trust is less likely to despair, envy others, or resort to unethical means to gain wealth, because it understands that true rizq cannot be taken by force or achieved through wrongdoing. Instead, the believer focuses on lawful means, diligent effort, and sincere supplication, trusting that Allah will provide exactly what is best. This reliance is particularly important when making dua before sleep. As one recites the supplication for rizq, beneficial knowledge, and accepted deeds, trust in Allah ensures that the request is made with sincerity, without desperation or doubt. The heart recognizes that while the words are necessary, it is Allah's power and mercy that will fulfill them. This balance between effort, supplication, and trust is what brings peace of mind, contentment, and spiritual strength. Ultimately, trust in Allah is a source of freedom. It liberates the believer from fear of scarcity, stress over the unknown, and obsession with material gain. By placing full confidence in Allah, one experiences a sense of security that no worldly wealth can provide. Every step, every decision, and every dua is strengthened by this reliance, creating a life of faith, gratitude, and ease. In essence, true rizq flows most smoothly when effort is combined with sincere dua and unwavering trust in Allah, because this trust aligns the heart with divine wisdom and opens the believer to blessings beyond what the eye can see or the mind can imagine. Rizq, or divine provision, often comes in ways that are far broader and more profound than many people realize. Most individuals immediately associate rizq with money or material possessions. Yet true blessings can take countless forms, each carrying its own significance and impact on a believer's life. One of the most important aspects of understanding rizq is recognizing that it is not always visible or tangible. Sometimes, the most valuable provision is not a paycheck, a gift, or a physical possession, but rather an opportunity, a moment of guidance, or even the removal of a difficulty. Doors open that were previously closed, relationships are strengthened, and paths are cleared for growth and success. These invisible forms of provision are no less significant than material wealth. In fact, they often lead to greater long-term benefit and fulfillment. For example, a problem that seems overwhelming may be removed through divine intervention, or a challenge may turn into a source of personal development and resilience. Such blessings remind us that rizq is holistic, encompassing not just physical sustenance, but spiritual and emotional nourishment as well. Health is another form of rizq that is often overlooked until it is threatened. The ability to wake up each day, breathe easily, think clearly, and carry out daily responsibilities is a blessing that enables a person to pursue other forms of sustenance and opportunities. Without health, even the most substantial material provision may fail to bring peace or happiness. Similarly, contentment and inner peace are among the most precious forms of rizq. While money and success can provide comfort, they do not guarantee tranquility of heart. True contentment, gratitude, and serenity are divine gifts that sustain the soul and enable a believer to navigate life's challenges with patience and faith. Beneficial knowledge is another significant form of provision. Learning that improves understanding, enhances decision-making, and guides righteous living is a blessing that enriches both the individual and the wider community. Opportunities to learn, grow, and serve others are all manifestations of rizq that may not appear immediately as financial gain, but are equally essential for a fulfilling life. Relationships and social connections are also considered forms of divine provision. A supportive family, sincere friends, mentors, and teachers are blessings that provide guidance, comfort, and collaboration. These connections can open doors to opportunities, bring encouragement during difficult times, and enrich life in ways that money cannot. Even acts of worship and spiritual growth can be seen as forms of provision. Guidance, wisdom, and the ability to perform righteous deeds with sincerity are blessings that cultivate closeness to Allah and shape a life filled with purpose. Recognizing the broad spectrum of rizq encourages a mindset of gratitude and awareness. When a person appreciates these less obvious forms of provision, they begin to see that Allah's generosity is far more extensive than they initially realized. It also nurtures patience, because even when material sustenance is delayed, a believer can trust that Allah continues to provide in other ways, through guidance, opportunities, protection, or inner peace. This understanding transforms du'a into a heartfelt conversation that seeks not only material gain, but all that benefits the body, mind, and soul. In essence, the blessings of Allah are limitless, and true provision may come in ways that surpass human expectation. By recognizing that rizq can appear in countless forms, health, peace, opportunities, guidance, and protection, a believer develops gratitude, trust, and hope. This awareness allows the heart to remain content, the mind to stay focused, and the soul to remain connected to Allah, knowing that every blessing, visible or hidden, is part of His infinite mercy.